Hey, it's Michelle Seeger with Riding the Big Wheel. And today I wanted to talk to you about where I get my news and information that helps me in my personal and professional journey of life. So I'm a really busy individual, just like you are. I'm running a business, I've got a family. I try to make time for my workouts and running my dogs. I've got, aging parents, right? And just a lot going on, it seems, every single day. And yet I still want to stay informed. Oh, and I also travel, which makes it really hard to stay informed. So I thought I would just share with you some of where I get my news and information. And I should let you know, I am not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on TikTok. I kind of avoid some of the social media channels because it's so noisy. I am on LinkedIn and I do check it. I respond to LinkedIn. I look at it mainly, to see what my associates in business are doing and to let you guys know about things like riding the big wheel. I also do have an Instagram account, but it's not active. At least it's not active right now. And really, I check it every couple weeks just to see what's up with my kids, right? So, anyway, that's kind of a little bit of context. And I wanted to start with YouTube. So, YouTube is one of my favorite go-to places. I watch YouTube. So, I do it when I'm working out at home. When I, have time to watch those videos. Sometimes I'll watch YouTube's really early in the morning, rarely late at night. So I will tell you this too. I have a rule that around 9:30 or so, all electronics are really turned off for me. I head upstairs and I start reading. Sometimes it's 10, but I give myself at least 30 minutes of like no screen time before bed. So let's get right into YouTube. Probably one of my favorite YouTube channels is by an individual named George Gammon. And George Gammon's YouTube channel, he basically breaks down economics, but he puts it in the context of what's happening in the United States today and globally. So whatever's happening, today it's about the price of oil. It's about the looming recession in the United States, why it's happening. He looks at what's happening in the news, what's being said by the Fed, and then he breaks down based on, he runs some analytics, he looks at history, and kind of helps us understand where we are today and what we can expect ahead. Why I love that channel is because he breaks down very complex concepts and ideas that sometimes I'm not even catching at all, but it's something you can understand. You can refer it to other people that you may work with and who you know in your life, and younger people. It's great for people of all ages. It's great for, and I find it very smart and entertaining. So George Gammon. Number two, we're all hearing about the evolution of technology, and ChatGPT is like all the rage. Well, there's a channel that I love to go to, and it's called the Center for Humane Technology. And who has that channel? It's someone, his name is Tristan Harris. If you're familiar with that name, it could be because of the social dilemma that won. I think it definitely won some awards. Social Dilemma talked about social media's impact on people and our everyday life. So Center for Humane Technology, they get into all sides of technology. So right now it's all about AI. They get into ChatGPT, all the other things. And what was the race for attention has now become the race to own intimacy. Like, it's wild what's happening out there. And I think for any executive, anyone in leadership, it's a wonderful channel for you to go out to. I also have, for a bit of fun, there's somebody out there called Johnny Harris, and it's Johnny Harris channel. A lot of you will not have heard about him, but he's an independent journalist. And what he likes to say is, I break down, what's happening in the world for you. And he does. It's everything from, what's going on in North Korea to, Southeast Asia to India to the United States. And it's his take on things. And he'll tell you some stories. And it's, he's very animated. He's a lot of fun. The videos are not long, but again, a good resource to go to. I do love going out to Ray Dalio. He has a channel out there on YouTube. Now, it's not a news channel, just to be clear. Out there, he's got all of his principles, which are timeless. He's got information out there around the changing world order, but it's not like relevant, brand new news. It's more of like principles for life, what's happening in the economy, cycles and patterns that we've seen before. But if you just research Ray Dalio, and I'll do that often on my favorite podcast channels, which we're going to talk about in a minute, if you just type his name in, you will be able to get his latest thinking and others on where we're headed. And then, I thought I'd wrap this up with just a couple of fun YouTube channels. One is Bobby Parrish from Flav City. So Bobby Parrish is all about healthy eating and how you can read labels. And, there's so much noise out there. He's even got an app that you can download where you can scan food in the grocery store and it'll tell you whether it's good or bad or whatever. But he regularly goes into Costco, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, your favorite markets, even Walmart, right? And he rates the different products in there. And it's all about clean living. So Bobby Parrish, Flav City, I learned some great tips there. And finally, someone that I found recently, but I find a very entertaining YouTube channel, is Ed Mylett. So Ed Mylett, Mylett, probably a lot of you haven't heard of him. He has a lot of, probably more like celebrities and people that you've heard of on there, but you hear a different perspective about, their lives and what's happening in them. And it's not a gossip channel at all, but it kind of gets more real. So anyway, it's just a lot of fun. And those are my favorite YouTube channels to go to. So now let's talk a little bit about podcasting. And when do I listen to my podcast? Well, I listen to podcasts in the car. I listen to them when I'm at the gym. I just have, one little bud in, then one out so I can hear what's going on around me, like if somebody's coming up behind me and I need to run, that sort of thing. But anyway, so every morning I try anyway, so I won't say without fail, but I listen to CNBC Worldwide Exchange. If you want to know what's going on in the news very quickly, and you are, heading into work or you're at the gym, CNBC, it's really smart, good news. It's like you can walk in your office and the top 5 things that are going on. You can comment on them. And I mean, people think I read probably 10 newspapers, and I don't. So CNBC Worldwide Exchange, it is my favorite go-to. I also like to, when I'm running, I like to listen to some fun stuff. So everybody that works with me is probably so sick of me talking about Lewis Howes because I really like him. And it's a lifestyle channel, all about lifestyle. He talks to people from all walks of life. He's had people like Ray Dalio on there. He's had, people from monks to executives to anybody and everybody in between, and celebrities that you may have heard of as well. But again, it's just about principles for living your life, and very entertaining and great if you are just taking a quick run. And then finally, there is a podcast out there called Your Undivided Attention. And again, this happens to be by Tristan Harris, so they are related, but very different from the YouTube channel. And Undivided Attention really gets into impact of social media, how marketing works today and tomorrow, like what the good, the bad, the ugly is. And he's got new stuff out there all the time. And then finally, I'll just make a plug for listening to country music. So I listen to country music. I encourage you, if you don't, just turn it on once or twice and just see what's out there a little bit. I like to listen to things like New Boots, more contemporary country. It really is upbeat. It really is inspirational. It really is kind of fun and gives you a break from classical and whatever else you might listen to. So those are my top podcasts. And now, what do I read? I am now down to reading just 2 things, but I still love my newspaper in the morning. I really enjoy it. And I get the Wall Street Journal. So Wall Street Journal, it's smart news. It tends to be, I believe, the most objective out there. There's a lot of subjectivity in the news today. Let's just be real. And they probably have their own slant in the Wall Street as well. But I do have it delivered to my house. They do have it available as an app. so you can listen to it. And they even have a podcast channel. So you can get it all over. And it's really easy to access. But I find it keeps me up on international news, on national news. And they do hit on, social issues of the day, political issues of the day. And I feel that I'm very well informed. And if you don't have time to read the whole thing, over on the left-hand side, they summarize the entire thing. So you can always do that too and go back and read it later. And then finally, I do get a weekly paper delivered to my house, Investors Business Daily. IBD, you can get it just the online version. I tend to like to read it. It really is all about markets. So markets worldwide. The front pages of it really talks about big moves in the market. They get into different sectors, what's happening and why. They tie it into the global economy. And again, it just breaks it down where it's easy to read and simple to understand, which are things that I need. So you now know where I go to read the news. You now know where I go for my favorite podcasts and YouTube channels. So this is how I kind of get a lot of my information. And I'm always open to listening to new things and learning things that you're interested in as well. So I'd love to hear from you on that. And then finally, I just thought I would talk to you about, everybody knows I always have several books on my nightstand. And I really do. They average between 5 and 7. And you can say that I have a problem with undivided attention when it comes to reading. But I just, when I go to bed at night, I'll just tell you, right? I look at my books and I say, okay, do I feel like a business book? Do I want a good fiction book tonight? I really do. And sometimes I'll read both. I don't know. But anyway, I'm reading 2 things that you will not have heard about. And the first one I'll bring up, it's the book from 1937, and it was Napoleon Hill who wrote, Think and Grow Rich. And I never read it before. It's been re-released a few times. They say it's one of the greatest, most widely read books globally ever written. And, what I find really interesting about it, it's easy read, but it's about Andrew Carnegie and then other very successful people in that time period, like what they did, what were their principles of living, right? So it's no big magic secret, but what's very interesting is that I believe it all comes down to mindset. And so they talk to you about that. And, I'm not one of those, we talked about manifestation. Everyone has to do that which they believe works for them. I'm very pragmatic, but I do believe that your mindset is what helps you get the discipline, the drive, the commitment, and your own accountability to achieve the things that you really want in your life. So that's why I've been really enjoying reading that book. And I'm flip-flopping between that and a great fiction book that I'm reading right now called The Latecomer. Oh my God, I can't stop reading this book. Sometimes I get a book and it's a problem because I'll be reading till 1 a.m. or whatever, and I get up between 5 and 5:30. But The Latecomer, they hit on everything from viewpoints on diversity, social issues, in vitro, fertilization, like any and everything. But it's a story of a family in New York City, wealthy family, and, just their challenges, which each one of the family members, and it's such a great read. So your beach read, before you go to bed read, if you just want something a little mindless, but yet I learned something from it, right? So, a fiction book that's kind of smart too. So that's it. That's my summary for you today. I want to hear from you, in comments. I want to hear from you through email. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you have not. Please tune in to Riding the Big Wheel, our other episodes if you have not, and let us hear from you so we know more of what you want to hear from us. Thanks a lot for joining.